What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA channel. And this is a video that I've been working on for a very long time. If you do follow the channel, it is no secret that Khamzat Chimaev is my favorite fighter in the UFC. This has been the case since he made a major debut back in 2020, where he fought 2 fights back-to-back within a very short time period during the pandemic and had amazing victories. I remember when he first came on the scene as the Wolf, he was this unbelievable prodigy that was coming up and doing things that people hadn't really seen before in the UFC. When he had the 2 fights back-to-back within a 10-day period in Abu Dhabi, the legends of Khamzat Chimaev began, and they've only grown since that time. Now we find ourselves nearly 5 years later, and he has still not had a title shot, and that title shot is about to happen. It's about to go down on August 16th, and I thought it was fitting to now share my enthusiasm for Khamzat Chimaev by telling the story of Khamzat. So this is going to be an in-depth look at Khamzat, who he is, where he began, and where he is now, as we are on the precipice of his first ever title shot against DDP going down at UFC 319. So without further ado, I present the documentary Khamzat. Khamzat Chimaev doesn't do a ton of interviews. In fact, he is fairly private. We usually don't see him popping up on shows until right before his fights. A lot of times it's those press obligations that the fighters have to do leading up to the big UFC cards. So a lot of people don't know his roots and don't know the story of his childhood. But now I'm going to give you a glimpse into Khamzat's upbringing in his own words.
What can you tell us? I mean, what can you tell us about, where you grew up, who you grew up around? Just
I grew up in my village, some small village. Was tough time when I was young. I remember that stuff. It was after the war. I come to this world when it's World War, and it was a hard time without food, and not nice time was that. And then now everything is good, everything is better. I'm happy for my country, and we'll do something for these guys, for these people. When I win my fight, if they get like a little bit smile in the face, I will be happy for that.
For those that don't know, what was going on in Chechnya around the time you were born?
It was war. A war is like war against Russia, and then the people in Chechnya, they get war against Chechen people. Some many bullshit things. Now I'm happy as everything is fine and good. I hope it will be stay like perfect, I don't know why it happened, these big things that kill people, and why we can't live like normal, and if you go up like with these things, war, and after nobody want to see this again, like some people never see the war and don't go up there. They think like, it's normal when you see on TV, like movie, And when you're there, you don't want to be there.
What is like one memory that stands out from your childhood that kind of illustrates what you're talking about?
Yeah, we'll find things, like granite, and sure, many things, like you find, some of my friends find and they get killed because they couldn't use that things, like many kids die like that. And I was always military, like come to your house and check your house and everything. And always was like, I was kid, was nervous, and didn't know how I expect these things, like always everyone was, you look at that, everyone is scared and stressed, Now everything is good. Now my family feels good, and I live in Sweden, most safest country. I like them, it's like my home, And in my country also, no war anymore, and everyone lives happy, and I hope so it will be like that.
I think it's important to understand what Khamzat's childhood was like during these times of conflict, during the war, so you can get a better idea of his mentality. He said in other interviews that fighting isn't necessarily scary to him because it's nothing in comparison to what he witnessed and what he experienced in war-torn Chechnya as a child. In this clip, Khamzat gives a little bit more context and a little bit more insight into what it was like and what the Chechen War really entailed.
He was born in 1994 in Chechnya during the First Chechen War with Russia, which left a lasting impact on the entire region.
War killed the people. Like, I didn't see that because I was too young, but after you see the buildings and down, and it was hard time for everyone. Because I grew up there, and you see the things always or every day, and you think it's normal if you're a kid, you know. But I start to understand it was war only in my country, you know, like, yeah.
One of the things that is very important to Khamzat is his family. He's talked many times about his super strong relationship with his mother and one of his brothers in particular. So here, in his own words, Khamzat talks about his family connections.
And I hope so it will be like that.
So when you talk about your family, who is that?
My mother, my father, and my brothers and sisters. We're a big family, and 2 brothers, 3 sisters.
And can you describe your village a little more?
Yeah, village, like, we are like in village, not so many people actually, like, but we like, everyone is like family, everyone know each other, you know, like, and traditional sport in my village is wrestling. If you don't do wrestling when you're a kid, you can't, they say, like, we joke with the guys who don't come to the training, you girl, like, you know, like, yeah, you have to train wrestling, you have to be tough and these things, the village. And as my coach also there, I meet him when I was there. Yeah, it's a big, not so big village, but nice people, like my family. Everyone is like my brothers and sisters, and old people like my father and mother. Yeah.
Did you love wrestling right away, or did you have to kind of learn how to love it?
Yeah, I love wrestling because I did it all my life.
Of his family members, his brother is somebody that Khamzat talks about many times as one of his closest allies, somebody who's often kept him in check when his hot temper got the best of him. And you can hear Khamzat in his own words.
Yeah, he's like my father, always be close to me, and we're still close, you know, like, maybe, yeah. If that one was my big brother, maybe I was in some jail somewhere. I don't know.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm sometimes a crazy guy, and I need somebody to stop me. And the only people who can stop me, they're him, because I love him so much, and I have to listen. So big respect is him. Yeah.
And of course, the person that I believe Khamzat talks the most fondly of is his mother, who he has a very strong relationship with. And he often talks about what propels him to be successful, to make money, to support his family, is his deep connection with his mother.
Take care of my mom. This is most important. But when she still in her life, I will do everything for she is. But I know everyone is gonna go from this world, and I gonna do everything she stay happy, because she did so many things. But was 5 kids, 6 kids, and my father was working in Russia somewhere 7 years, something like that. My mother take care of us 6 kids, but without money, and we had some chickens. We was living in village, you know, like this stuff. Not so much money, and she makes food. Now I understand. Sometimes she didn't eat food just because she wanna give to us. You know, she did everything because I'm stay here now. She's strongest people in this world. I think a woman is strongest people in this world. Somebody thinks like, yeah, woman, like, you know, like, I see a lot of guys talk about bad women, and I have big respect for women because warriors, people like who businessmen, then somebody become big. There's some woman in the backside.
Has she ever been to your fights?
No, she said she doesn't want to watch, doesn't want to see my fights. But after fight, she look at my fights, and all the time when I win my fight, she said, "You become champion." And she said, "Champion." I said, "No, mom, I have to fight one more and one more." Like she said, "When you finish that." And sometimes when I knocked out guys, she called me. She was crying. She asked me, "What's happened?" "Mom, I win my fight. Why are you crying?" She said, "What's happened with this guy? He dead?" I don't know, Mom. He's not dead. He's okay. He's good now. And she's talking about how she mom accept that. She have to be crying now. But I said, it's it's my work, Mom. I have to do that.
Would you ever want to bring her to a fight, or it would just be too much?
No, I doesn't take my mom here. Not my family. Just my brother, because he's here everywhere I'm fighting.
Yeah.
He likes that.
Fast forward to this current time period, Khamzat is now married and he even has kids. Somebody else that is very close to him is his son, which he talks about in this interview leading up to his fight against Robert Whittaker. And he opens up a bit about some of the difficulties and challenges that his son has faced.
So after this fight, will you go back to Russia, or like what? Have you kind of?
I'm going back to Sweden. My son has one surgery, has second one, but everything's good, thank you. But one more after the fight. So after that, my son will be healthy. So yeah, that's it.
How old is your son?
1.5.
Yeah, you're only one.
Yeah, only one.
How's that been?
Huh?
How's it been being a dad? Have you?
It's difficult. So I don't know. So it's fun. Yeah.
What kind of surgery is he getting?
He has one kidney, some problem. I don't know what that calls in English. So, but they say usually a lot of kids has it. So thanks God he's healthy. He's speaking. So he's going running. Happy.
It's not a distraction. It's not bothering you that you're here doing this and he's there.
Yeah, of course, bothering you. Operation surgery is hard when you. Somebody from your family, bigger one, my brother, my sister, anyone gets, it's hard. You're thinking about it, but when you're a kid, it's different. You feel about it. You think about it, So for me, most important, my family, not the fighting game. So this one, of course, I think about it more.
When you listen to Khamzat's story as a child, the things he faced, the challenges he faced in his village growing up, and the emphasis on sports, you can start to see how he built such a tremendous foundation for mixed martial arts. So in this clip, Khamzat talks about growing up and wrestling as a kid and what that was like.
What were those wrestling competitions like when you were a kid? Majdi told me a story of how there was a tournament in another village and you could win a goat if you won. What were those wrestling tournaments like when you were a kid?
I was only wrestler because my brother put me everywhere. If somewhere it's like other village, they have boxing, they have like jiu-jitsu, sambo, combat sambo, and like these kind of competitions. My brother put me everywhere. I did compete in judo and combat sambo, and wrestling, and Greco-Roman wrestling. I compete everywhere. My brother wanna put me everywhere, and sometimes outside, fight with him. I always been like competition and fighting stuff,
So as Khamzat mentioned in a previous clip, growing up and living in Chechnya was quite difficult. And he finally got an opportunity to move out of Chechnya and move to Sweden to join his family. And in this quick clip, Khamzat explains what that process was like, finally making the move to Sweden. Check this out.
So my brother was living here. He told us, come here, it's good for us. And our one brother, too, he has surgery as well. So they help him when we come directly. After that, we stay here. We like it. And they help us a lot as well.
So what do you remember about the day you moved? You left your village to come to Sweden. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, the beginning was for me, I was young, 19, and just doesn't want to left my friends, but when we comes here, it was like a small village here as well. And I didn't know somebody. We didn't have a gym as well there. 1 year it was hard for me. Why I come here and why we stay here and that's and become normal. If you stay someplace long time, like it's like becomes like your home,
Living in this one apartment was who?
Me and my mom, my brother, sister.
How was that?
Was tight, but not like it's like I say. Was like we couldn't sit and sleep and eat, like small apartment. Very small.
How many rooms?
I think it was 2.
2 rooms.
Yeah.
So what? Did you all sleep in the same room?
Yeah, me and my brother was sleeping same room. My mother and sister was sleeping same room. Always like inside in me, I'm gonna find some ways like make my life is better, So I always was thinking, always was working and doing something, and I never stopped.
What your mom was doing when you first moved to Sweden, and why did you want to make things better for her? Like, why was that so important to you?
She thinks always about us. She wants it's when I was young. You don't understand why she gives she's food to us. She was waiting for us. Like we finished the food and this is things she left. She's eat this one. And now when I become all the time and understand what she did that, now you want to give back everything, It's that's why I'm always feel like I have to make his life is much better, how it's possible.
Yeah. So when you were running through those neighborhoods, you were thinking to yourself, I want to make my life better or my mom's life better? Probably both, but which one were you thinking about?
My mom is important for me. That's why I'm working hard as well. We're always talking in the phone. Or if she's happy, I'm happy. My brother pushed me, honestly, but I want to finish that work 1 year before. And I did work for 2 years. But I said to my brother, after 1 year, let me go and try something else in the big city. And he stopped me, no, you have to work. Work is good and you can make money. What are you going to do there? And he was always thinking about me because I'm not guy who can stay one place, work. And you're going to go some troubles and do some push things. And he stopped me 2 years. I was there. Then he was tired. He said, let's go.
Yeah.
Try. I find MMA. I said to him, I'm going to make money. He said, I don't think you're going to do that, but you can try it. So, yeah, let's go.
So once in Sweden, Khamzat competed in freestyle wrestling. He was actually the champion in 2016, 2017, and 2018 in the following weight classes: 86 kilos, 86 kilos, and 92 kilos. If you want to translate that to pounds, you multiply it by approximately 2.2. So that's 172 plus 17. So that's about 189 pounds, 190. 92 kilos times 2, 184, plus another 18, just over 200 pounds. Khamzat has also mentioned that he wanted to compete for Sweden in the Olympics in wrestling, but he never got that shot because of missing paperwork.
And you were wrestling in the Swedish program, but you couldn't do everything you wanted because of the papers?
Yeah. You can get Swedish passports and you can get papers because you can live there, but you can get be residence, you can get that so fast. Maybe 10 years after 5 years, maybe I'm gonna get. I don't know. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Was that? I gotta believe that was hard, right? You wanted to compete. You wanted to Where do you think did you want to go to the Olympics if you could have? Did you just feel like you couldn't do everything?
One guys who I win against. A lot of guys who I win against. They've been in competition, world champ and championship, and one guy been in Olympic games too. I win against these guys, and I win 10-0. You can't win against somebody better in wrestling. 10-0 is over. The guy was in the Olympic championship.
So this starts to explain the story of how Khamzat comes in to the UFC and is so dominant, even though he doesn't have some of the accolades like Henry Cejudo or some of these other folks who were able to become Olympic gold medalists. Perhaps Khamzat had a chance to go to the Olympics if he would have had the right paperwork, and it starts to make sense why coming in he has been just such a force to reckon with. In this interview, Khamzat tells the story of how he transitioned from wrestling into mixed martial arts. You got to check out the subtitles because this is in Russian. Check it out.
У меня еще вот как раз рассказывал историю очень. В принципе, я, как знаете, не любил ММА. И всегда говорил, да, не хочу это. ММА, у тебя только борьба была. И в какой-то день он предложил тебе пойти в зал, сказал, что будет тренировка по вольной борьбе, а там ММА, спарринги вроде были.
Не, ну, он сказал, типа, ну, из зала ММА, там, а у них борьба будет. Типа,
Ага, да.
сказал, да. Я знал, что ребята это все бойцы. Насчет, что любил, не любил ММА, это неправильно. Ну, я любил единоборство, всегда смотрел все бои, там, Федора, всех соотечественников, ребят, которые в Ахмате, которые мои братья выступают, Абдурахмана, там, Бакара, и ребят всех следил за ними. До того даже мы не были знакомы, я болел за них и следил за ними. И Бибулатов в то время выступал в UFC. Ну, такие для меня были такие примером ребята. Всегда хотел стать. Ну, не то, в то время я в борьбе выступал, хотел достичь чего-то такого результата, как они достигали в то время. Ну, не было такого неприязни, чтобы ММА не перейти там.
Там просто там продолжение есть истории, что там был чемпион Швеции по ММА, и тебе предложили с ним провести спарринг, и там ты просто опять же, там, за минуту что-то его уработал, и там тренера сказали, ты кто, откуда, и они тебе предложили тренироваться вместе.
Ну, сейчас точно не вспомнишь, да, парень, ну, в то время он, по-моему, профессионально дрался, хорошо шел, в 93 выступал, и мы в паре встали, и я в стойке его даже выиграл, и не думаю, что я профессиональный какой-то боец. И у меня тренер был, ну, тогда у меня шведский не так уж хорош был, это где-то 8 лет назад, 7 лет назад было, по-моему. И спрашиваю, типа, где выступаешь, в каком организации. Я сказал, первый раз в зале ММА. Он не верил в это, он переводил. И спрашивал, хочу я ли подраться. Я сказал, давайте, если есть. По любителям сразу бой дали через неделю. И так выступил, выиграл быстро свой бой. Ну, понравилось. Ну, что-то такое, эмоции понравилось, которые есть, выходя на бой, и в бою, и после боя.
One of the most famous stories of Khamzat after he first got into mixed martial arts is what happened at his gym in Sweden at All Stars on the very first day. He actually almost got into a full-blown fight. Check out this story in Khamzat's own words.
So the first day you came in, what happened?
I was boxing, sparring, and was like doing good sparring with the guys. Like it was water on the mats. Like I just just pulled down on my one knee, and he still punched me, and then I go up and start to fight, and I take out my gloves, I kick in his ass, I took him down. The other guys nobody knows me here, and the guys was together, one guy screaming, oh, him, that's bad things. I said, okay, guys, come on, we'll go to the bathroom, and I just opened the toilet. I said, come on, jump in, you and me. I'm the man, you're the man. And he said, I don't have time for that, like these things. And he doesn't want to come. And the other guy asking, let's go, you're the real man. He said, I didn't say something.
In this clip, Khamzat's original coach at All Stars tells the story of meeting Khamzat, him coming into the gym for the first time and having this wild altercation on his first day.
I was sitting upstairs and I heard a lot of noise. It sounded like some people were fighting. So I went down. I saw one guy. The guy was Khamzat. Was very upset. There was two other guys. Looks like he wanted to rip them apart. I just asked him, hey, what are you doing here? He said, I want to become an MMA fighter. I said, okay, then you're going to stay. You don't go back. It's like, sure, I stay here.
A small room, about 60 square feet, located in the back of the gym, is where Khamzat made his home, away from his family.
So how long did you live here?
Almost 3 years.
What was that like?
Old home. Sometimes was hard. You know, like when you're alone, like 4 or 5 months, like sitting in this small room, it's like makes in your mind some crazy things. It's hard to control yourself. It was hard, really hard.
Khamzat arrived without a single MMA fight on his record, but with a will to compete.
The thing that was most evident was that he had like so much will, that he wanted to show us how good he was. He was a good wrestler. He could take people down, but he couldn't grapple, so he couldn't finish them. And he had like no stand-up at that time. He was a good, like, street fighter. We'll get there.
Forget the fighting side of things. He lives for training. He trains super hard.
Go. Last one. Over the course of your career, how many welterweights have been capable of giving you actual work in the gym?
Well, no one like Khamzat. There is no relaxed, there is no comfortable workout. There is none of that. It's not in his world. You know, he doesn't accept that. The guy is just a machine. He doesn't stop.
Sometimes I doesn't want to come to the gym, but I still come because of my work. I know if I don't do that, somebody gonna do this, and he gonna be better than me.
One of the noteworthy things about Khamzat at the beginning of his career was when he was fighting in the welterweight division, he was actually training with a light heavyweight, and not just any light heavyweight, a light heavyweight that rose to fame with 2 incredible fights against John Jones that were razor close, and that's Gustafsson. So if you remember, Gustafsson had amazing things to say about Khamzat from the get-go, and that only added fuel to the fire of this rising superstar.
Could you tell like right away that this guy, his wrestling is going to be very good for MMA, or how does that work? Like, how quickly did you know that he was going to be really good?
Pretty fast, but that wasn't just because of his wrestling. It was more like the dedication he had to the sport and how much he wanted it from the start. That's how you can see that a guy, he really, he's gonna come far and go far in the sport, and he hasn't slowed down since, even with all the hype and everything. He doesn't slow down. He just works harder. Yeah.
To get to the level of the UFC and to get to the level where you guys are at, you have to be kind of dedicated, right? I mean, pretty much everybody who makes it to that level. It's just not a hobby you do. It's a lifestyle. You have to live it. You have to sleep it. You have to everything you do in life outside gym. It's just to make you a better fighter. Basically, everything you do, sleep, eat, all of it. It's a lifestyle. So is Khamzat unique, like even amongst UFC fighters, or was he just, you could tell that he was going to make it to a UFC level, or does he even take it further than like most guys in the UFC do? Because like I mentioned, everybody's dedicated at this level. Does his dedication stand out even above that?
He just, because I met a lot of MMA athletes and fighters and all of that, and he stands out for sure. Because of his dedication, because of how he outtrains everybody, and it's nobody that trains like him. Nobody. I haven't seen it. I've been around the world seeing fighters train and having their camps and then training for a fight. This guy is just doesn't get tired. He doesn't feel any pain. He just go through it. I mean, one of the big things that come out of the gym about him, and I think we'll see this as like time goes on, is that Andres, the coach, says this all the time. Majdi says this all the time, is that he has to go with you guys. He has to go with the light heavyweights because he can't go with welterweights. Like, do you remember when he first started going with you and you were like this guy's too small to be going with me? Like, how did this kind of evolve to like you became one of his main sparring partners?
she's just been growing since start. You know, I wasn't his main sparring partner in the beginning, of course, but then he put some muscles on. He become a little bit heavier, stronger. He's done he's been lifting his weights. He's been just doing his thing, and just I don't even know when it was, but then he just started to spar with me and all the light heavyweight guys and all the heavyweight guys, because he's just too strong. He's too big and he's too good, just technical, too good for the welterweight guys. And this guy, he goes hard. He's not you train with someone and we can just play around. Khamzat can play too, but this guy, he wants it. He doesn't want to lose one round in the training.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I spar with him, I have to be prepared. Even if this guy weighed maybe, I don't know, nowadays 30 kilos less than me or 20 kilos less than me, I don't know. But this guy he's going at it. So I have to keep my guard up. I have to be prepared for the training, for the workout. And the guys are in the welterweight division just too small for him,
We haven't seen a ton of his striking. You've said that he's well-rounded, that he can strike. What kind of striker is he? Is he a super technical boxer? Does he kick much? I mean, it seems like he's got power. He put out Meerschaert, with one shot. What can you tell us about? We know him as a wrestler. What is he like as a striker?
Well, as a wrestler, he's outstanding, and also his jiu-jitsu. He's getting he's working his wrestling jiu-jitsu type of hybrid thing, and it's very, very, very heavy on top. Even if he's not that heavy against me in weight wise, but he's still heavy. He feels heavy because he uses right. His striking is very. He hits like a light heavyweight. He hits hard, because he's very explosive. He boxes very fast with his hands, and with speed comes some power and good precision. So this guy, if you don't keep your head, I've seen this guy knock people out with just a jab in training. So you need to keep your guard up when you spar with this guy.
As Gustafsson talks about the striking, the explosiveness, the speed of Khamzat, it was almost a prediction for what would happen down the line when Khamzat was finally to face GM3. But prior to that, Khamzat now began his road to the UFC to finally fulfill his dreams as a professional mixed martial artist. With two back-to-back decisive victories where Khamzat barely absorbed any significant strikes whatsoever, they then moved him up significantly in competition to face GM3 Gerald Meerschaert at 185 pounds. As all of this hype was forming around Khamzat, they invited him to the presser, and this is what ensued. And people really got to see a different side of Khamzat here, not just a pure killer in the cage, but also pretty legendary at the presser as well.
Look, I'm expecting him to be tough. I'm expecting him to try and oppose his will and be very mentally strong. But in any of his fights that I've seen, he hasn't met real resistance. And I think that's going to be a big test. I don't care how many amateur fights you have.
You lose your fights. You are like in the shadow, like what is friend to Conor? What is his name? Artem Lobo. You are same shadow. How many times you lose your fights?
Oh, I've lost quite a few fights. 31-13.
You think you're black belt?
Yeah.
But
when you fight tough guys,
Jack Van Hermanson, he did not have a black belt. Why he choke you out?
Sometimes you lose when you fight tough guys, man.
Who give you?
You'll find out.
Belt. I have blue belt. I'm gonna choke you out.
You can go ahead and try there, buddy.
You have to give me your black belt to me.
All right. If you choke me out, I'll find a black belt, give it to you. How about that?
If I choke you out, you are finished with this sport.
Okay, if I double leg you, do I get like a wrestling trophy or something?
If you double leg me, try.
Okay, I will.
One of the things about Khamzat's brand of trash talk, I think, is it's not even really trash talk. It's not hyperbole. He's just speaking his truth. Now, this has obviously rubbed people the wrong way. Some people feel as though Khamzat is overly confident, cocky, if you will. I always looked at it as him saying exactly what's on his mind. And that's part of the appeal, I think, for Khamzat fans, is he's very authentic. He's himself, whether he rubs people the wrong way or not. He's going to be himself through and through. But his confidence was definitely not misplaced as we go into the fight, and you can see what happens next.
Most special fighters I've ever seen, if not the most special guy.
And as the hype around Khamzat grew, so did his performances.
That knockout occurred within the first 20 seconds of that fight. It was an unprecedented finish. And what was truly amazing about this victory is up to this point, Khamzat was known for his threat on the ground, his ability to take people down, ground and pound, submit, etc. But all the while, people were saying, including Gustafsson, that Khamzat is actually an amazing striker, and people really hadn't seen the true Khamzat. Right when they said this, he comes out and gets an early first-round KO, one-shot KO, absolutely unbelievable, and the legend of Khamzat only grew from there. I think one of the things that built the hype so much for Khamzat Chimaev was Dana White himself when he spoke about Khamzat, giving him praise that we really hadn't seen him shower upon anybody up till this point.
What can you say about this guy and what he's accomplished in 66 days, I believe it is?
The guy's special. I've been in this game my whole life. I've never seen anything like him. He's special. He's different. He wants to fight again. So, you know, I've never been in a position where I'm like, who's next? How do we get him a fight? How do we get him over here? How do we do this? How do we do that? It's fun and I like it. And I think when you're a fight fan, a guy like this is the type of guy that you love to watch and follow and hate, you know, and whatever it might be. This guy is one of the most special fighters I've ever seen, if not the most special guy that I've ever come across. And he kept telling me leading up to this fight, you think I'm a wrestler. You think I'm a wrestler. Wait till you see my hands. Holy he wasn't lying.
Khamzat had an absolutely incredible and unprecedented ascension to fame in the UFC. And with that fame brought many trials and tribulations. And in this interview with Brett Okamoto here, he talks about some of the issues that he had with becoming famous. Because at the end of the day, Khamzat is from a small village. He's from a small town. He's not somebody that was built for the spotlight like Conor McGregor or other folks in the UFC. Khamzat is a different type of fighter, a different type of superstar. So here's a quick clip about some of the things that he has had to deal with since his crazy rise to stardom.
You mentioned you got famous. Like, what were some of the problems that came with that?
Some crazy people sometimes. When I was living in Sweden, you know, so you can't hide your address, you know, so everyone can know wherever you live, you know. So some crazy people knock your door as well, but so it's some crazy people you meet in the streets and they come talk about anything. Like a lot of people wants to do some business, a lot of things, you know, a lot of different. Everyone talks in your ear and it's hard. Focus for training, you know. So now we was on that place, closed, shut down everything, just training. Nobody was close to me, only my friends, and my family and training partners.
To take you back in a time machine to see what the buzz was, what people were feeling at the time of Khamzat's rise after he defeated Gerald Meerschaert, and everybody was talking about Khamzat and future potential matchups. We go back to the old show that was really popular during the pandemic, DC and Helwani. This is one of my favorite shows on ESPN back in the day. So anyways, we're going to hear Ariel Helwani himself talk about Khamzat Chimaev and the promise he brought to the UFC.
We got a lot of big fights coming up. We got a ton of big fights to end the year. I don't know. Honestly, can I be honest with you right now? I don't know if I've ever been more excited for a non-title fight than I am for Leon Rocky Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev. Leon Edwards, who told me last week that he thinks the company is rooting against him. The company wants him to fail. Leon Edwards beating the golden boy, the breakout star, the wolf Khamzat Chimaev. You can't write a better script. Vince McMahon wishes he had a script like this.
That would be bad.
A burn coming in there. That's the last image. You fade to black. The curtains come down, and it's Leon.
and Rockies with his hand raised. Oh,
what's better than that? You can't. The fact that that's the last fight of this year with Leon against Khamzat, who's kind of who's been the biggest beneficiary of 2020.
Yes, I mean Khamzat Chimaev has. He's one of the very few people in the world that 2020 has been good to. Right? Yes. Most people are like, want to end this year. Khamzat, if he could live in 2020 for the rest of his life, with the way things have been going, from making his debut, having those 2 fights in 2 weeks, to knocking out Gerald, to being at Fight Island and sitting next to Dana White and legitimately becoming a star overnight, it feels like. Bro, this is it's crazy, because if he wins, he'll skyrocket to the moon, right? I mean, are we looking at if Khamzat Chimaev wins, are we looking at a situation where you start going, oh, Gilbert. I mean, Gilbert, you waited. Like, I mean, this guy, Khamzat, just
Gilbert's been waiting now for like 3 years.
It's scary, right? Like, it's like he did it. Everything Gilbert did, Khamzat is doing right now, taking every fight, fighting the guys. He wins, it's massive.
So at this moment, Khamzat was not really a highly ranked guy. He was just still coming up, but they decided to match him against Leon Edwards because he was such a star. And at this time, Leon Edwards had an amazing record. I believe he was ranked like number 1, 2, or 3 or something like that. Leon actually didn't want the fight initially. They removed him from the rankings, but then finally he agreed to the fight. And this is right before. So everything was on the line. This guy just coming out of nowhere after his first 3 fights in the UFC was now being faced off against Leon Edwards, who we now know today, later on, went on to become champion of that division. He was going to be pitted against Leon Edwards. Had he won that fight, had that fight actually happened, man, he was probably going to get the title shot right after that, probably in early 2021 or mid 2021. However, that was not to be.
So Khamzat Chimaev has tested positive for the old Rona syndrome, and now his bout with Leon Edwards on December 19th at the end of the year is in jeopardy. This is a disaster. This was the one I was looking forward to. This card is like a pay-per-view, and in that case, I guess you could say that Chimaev and Edwards are both pay-per-view headliners right now. So having Khamzat Chimaev off of that card is not very good, because it does diminish the card somewhat if he is off the card anyway. It seems like there's a chance he might be, and they may have to reschedule things, but it also seems like there's a chance, because they haven't already cancelled the bout, that there might be able to be some kind of way to keep this fight together on the card, which I would really like, because I'm done with all of these fights falling apart and trying to be rebooked, because it seems like when there's a second fight rebooked after a first fight has been cancelled, it always seems to go wrong again. We've had a history of this in the UFC. I don't want to start another Khabib versus Ferguson 5 times. We have to book Chimaev versus Edwards. I don't want that whatsoever. So if we can save this for the card at the end of the year, that would be ideal, because I think this is great for both of their careers. End the year with a bang. They get the last say. I mean, Ariel Helwani said it best on his show with Leon Edwards. He said, now you get the last laugh of the year if you get the win. And if Khamzat Chimaev gets the upset against Leon Edwards, even though he's a favorite, if he gets the upset ranking wise on Edwards and gets that big jump up, he's going to be the big star, and everyone's going to be waiting to see him.
Everybody wanted to see the fight between Leon Edwards and Khamzat Chimaev, and the UFC continued to try and rebook this fight. Now, if you actually Google this fight, it is listed as a pullout from Leon Edwards on December 19th, and then a pullout from Khamzat Chimaev on January 20th and March 13th, as it was also reported that Khamzat later contracted COVID in December. He tested positive in January 20th. They tried once again to push it back just 2 months, but Khamzat suffered an extreme case of COVID. And unfortunately, at that point, he was still extremely sick, was still having a lot of medical issues, and was not able to fight on March 13th. And much to the chagrin of all UFC and MMA fans, this fight was never to take place.
Sean Shelby came in and gave me an email that Khamzat Chimaev is still suffering from the effects of COVID. There's something wrong with his lungs. They're putting him on medication again, and he's out of that fight. So Sean is literally in the other room right now working on a new fight for Leon Edwards. And I'm so, I shouldn't say pissed off. There's nothing to be pissed off about. I'm bummed out.
Sure.
I was so excited. One of my favorite fights this year was Chimaev and Edwards. So, just it sucks, and we'll figure out something else for Leon. And
yeah, I mean, it's a bummer, and I mean, I can't sit here and ask you what you're going to do with the guys who just found out the news, but I will ask do you think it stalls the momentum of Chimaev now? I mean, we don't know when he's going to return, but this guy was on absolute fire. Do you think that fire is just immune to these kinds of things?
No,
like whenever he gets back, he'll pick that up again?
The one thing you have to look at right now is his health. Let's make sure this guy's healthy, get him the best care we can give him, and make sure he comes back and makes full recovery from this COVID thing that's bothering him. And when it's time to fight, he's fun to watch fight. So let's get him healthy, and then we'll figure that out.
Dana White puts it perfectly. And for all the other Khamzat Chimaev fans, the old school ones that were on the hype train back in the day, we all had that similar feeling. We all had massive disappointment. People were talking about him at that point already being a title contender, already saying that they thought at the time Kamaru Usman was at the top of the division. They thought that Khamzat already back then, even though he was such a newbie in the UFC, thought that he had a chance to beat Kamaru Usman when Kamaru Usman seemed unbeatable. So unfortunately, this fight was never to materialize. And as we all know, Leon Edwards then went on to become the undisputed champion and to beat Kamaru Usman back to back. Shortly after this pullout, the MMA community got this crazy news that Khamzat retired. So in this post, he said, "I want to say thank you to all so much for supporting me in my journey in this sport. I think I'm done. Yes, I know I didn't take the belt, but it's not the most important victory in this life. It may upset you, but my heart and body tell me everything." This came out of the blue, and I think people were really shocked. But the reason why people were shocked is we didn't know the full extent of Khamzat's sickness and what he was going through. He, in fact, thought he was extremely ill at one point and thought that he had cancer and that his mortality was in jeopardy. I think this crazy adversity that he had to deal with just makes the story of Khamzat Chimaev that much richer. He had to bounce back from this level of extreme adversity. And the one positive thing about him having to deal with this back then is that even if he stumbles again, I believe many Khamzat Chimaev fans, that he has the strength, the fortitude, the courage to overcome adversities now and in the future and keep on going. Here's a quick clip of Khamzat in his own words explaining exactly why he retired.
Is it ever tough being like a fighter? I know one time you said that you wanted to retire. Is there like a lot of ups and downs with being a fighter?
That time was hard, man. It's not the same, man. That time when I said that, doctor said you has a cancer, man. That's why I'm said that I'm retired, man. I didn't know what to say to my family. I didn't know what to say to the people. Then we check again. The other doctor said, no, you don't have a cancer and you still coughing blood and you think, man, you finish, you know. I said to my managers, and when he said, doctor says, I'm watching him, no money anymore, brother. He was stressed and he would jump out on the doctor, what you talking about? And the big other doctor, and he said, no, it's not cancer.
So Khamzat took the time necessary to recoup and recover. And when he finally returned, we had to wait several months from March all the way until October until we finally had his return once again. And this time he was fighting against Li Jingliang, the Leech. What you see in that clip is iconic Khamzat Chimaev. What he did to the Leech was unprecedented. He actually picked him up and he carried him over to his corner, dropped him on the ground, and proceeded to get him into a position where he could effectively choke him out within the first round. It was absolutely incredible. It had everybody on their feet, and it once again continued to build the hype train and the legend of Khamzat Chimaev. Now, once upon a time, Dana White tried to make Khamzat versus Leon Edwards, and at that time, Leon Edwards was on a 8-fight win streak. At this point, Leon Edwards was not available, but they really wanted to up the competition level for Khamzat Chimaev. So who did they put him against? They put him against Gilbert Burns, who at this time was ranked number 2. He was considered to be atop the welterweight division, and Khamzat was only ranked number 11th. So this is a big step up in competition. A lot of people were quite worried for Khamzat Chimaev. During the build-up for the fight, once again, we had a legendary and an iconic press conference performance, which definitely did not disappoint. And we're going to see a clip right here of that presser.
I'm gonna kill that guy. I have power in my hands. I don't care what I'm gonna do, you know. I'm gonna go jump in the cage and smash that guy, you know. I don't care. He will be down, I will smash his face. I will stand up, I will knock him out, you know. Don't care, brother. That guy is not fucking from Brazil. I'm more than Brazilian than him. I'm from Cantagalo. He's not Brazilian. He speaks English, he can't speak Portuguese.
The fight was an absolute brawl, an absolute battle. The two fighters went for 3 rounds, but Khamzat Chimaev, coming in at number 11, was able to defeat Gilbert Burns by decision, ranked number 2 at the time, to get that victory. And because Khamzat Chimaev looked so dominant in so many other performances, he got a lot of criticism for looking the way he did against Gilbert Burns. I never understood this criticism because, again, it was number 11 versus number 2. I felt like people should have been giving him a lot more credit for beating Gilbert Burns, who was such an animal at the time and such a force to be reckoned with in the welterweight division. But I believe the criticism came because Khamzat Chimaev was almost considered invincible at this point, just given what he had done to every single opponent he had faced thus far in the UFC. This was the first time that he actually looked human, that he actually looked mortal. After this very close fight and this awesome victory, Khamzat Chimaev was then set to face one of the most famous fighters in the UFC, Nate Diaz. Now, obviously, everybody's going to watch when you have Nate Diaz fighting somebody, but Khamzat was such a force to be reckoned with. A lot of folks were actually worried that this was just going to be a completely mismatched face-off and a mismatched fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz. A lot of fans were unhappy when this fight was made. You can hear Khamzat Chimaev talk about the fight ahead of time. So check this out in his own words.
Beginning.
What do you think beating Nate Diaz is going to do for your career?
To be honest with you, I don't care, bro. Just get my money and go home and do some funny things and help somebody, I don't know. Be happy, huh?
Well, because you're at a spot where you already beat the number 1 guy. So you're right there for a title shot. Beating Nate Diaz, though, I know you don't care. But what do you think it's going to do? Like, what is going to happen after this fight, after you beat a superstar like Nate Diaz?
Make the money, some money, and smash his head, you know, have some fun. And then UFC wants to kill that guy, you know, like how to do it. I say always, like, I'm like killer, you know. They pay for me and take his head.
Like a hitman almost.
Yeah, like I'm that.
Is that sort of how it feels coming into this fight? Like, it seems pretty obvious, and maybe some people will say different scenarios or whatever. The most obvious scenario seems like it's the last fight on his contract. The UFC wants you to beat him. You take all of his fans. They send him out on a loss. Is that what it feels like to you?
People talk about that, but for me, it's like, doesn't matter. Just give the fights and fight. You know, like after my last fight, they said he maybe gonna get a title shot, but they give me this fight. I took the fight. You know, I never said no. So yeah, why not?
For those of you guys who've been following Khamzat's journey, I'm sure you remember the famous weight miss. Now, this one is mired in a bit of controversy. Khamzat missed weight by quite a bit. He missed by 8 pounds, and his cavalier attitude at the weigh-ins made a lot of people quite upset. Check this out. Just a quick walk down memory lane.
$178 and a half. 178 and a half, the official weight for Khamzat Chimaev.
What's happening now, guys?
Now, if you guys remember at the time, there were a lot of theories as to why he missed weight. Some people thought that he could have made weight, but the doctor asked him to stop cutting because there were some health issues and something was going on, so he stopped. Other theories were that the UFC actually had changed their mind at the last minute and they didn't want Khamzat Chimaev to fight Nate Diaz. They thought it was going to be such a mismatch that it was going to look bad upon them, and so therefore they actually knew ahead of time that they didn't want him to fight. That's a bit of a conspiracy theory. We don't know exactly what happened, but the generally approved narrative is that, yeah, he had some health issues during the weight cut, stopped the weight cut. That's why he missed by so much. I think he was a lot closer than 8 pounds, but then he already started to rehydrate at that point, and that's why he had this massive weight miss. At the last minute, they switched his opponent because Nate Diaz obviously weighed in at 170, so they switched his opponent to Kevin Holland.
So what happened was he was cutting weight. If you saw him yesterday, he was very, very lean already, and he should have come in on weight. He started to cut weight, and he started locking up and cramping and all the things that happen when you're bad, that are from a bad cut. And unlike 10 years ago when we were doing this, they call in, we send a doctor up, and the doctor determines whether he should keep cutting weight or not. And the doctor told him he shouldn't. So we jumped on this morning, and the new card now, we have Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson, and Khamzat Chimaev will fight Kevin Holland, and Leech will fight Rodriguez.
So both Kevin Holland and Khamzat Chimaev had to do a short notice change in terms of who they were fighting. Also, both fighting different fight styles than they were previously matched up with. So I'm sure it was difficult for both. And again, this is what ensued, only to continue the hype train and the legend of Khamzat Chimaev. And there we have it. A submission in the first round within the first 3 minutes. Unbelievable. And the legend of Khamzat just grows and grows and grows. Some of the things that DC pointed out in particular in this fight that we really got to see was his ability to get low and shoot with incredible speed. I think that's one of the things that's differentiated Khamzat from all the other wrestlers and grapplers along the way. He's got some sort of explosiveness and speed and power combination that nobody's ever seen before in the UFC. Now, because of that weight cut, what happened is the UFC now has asked Khamzat Chimaev to move up to the middleweight division. He's already had fights in the middleweight division. Most notably, he knocked out Gerald Meerschaert in the middleweight division within 17 seconds. So now he's moving up to the middleweight division. He's scheduled to fight Paulo Costa, and of course, Paulo Costa ended up pulling out of their fight. And because Paulo Costa pulled out, they had a late-minute replacement. They had Kamaru Usman come in on 10 days' notice. Now, at this point, this was an awesome matchup, something that people had talked about. Like I said, back in 2021, people wanted to see Khamzat go against Kamaru Usman. Now it was happening, except it wasn't happening at welterweight. It was happening at middleweight. Both of these guys now had moved up to the middleweight division. Kamaru Usman just temporarily. Khamzat Chimaev, it seemed he was in the middleweight division to stay. So on 10 days' notice, they had to change Khamzat from Paulo Costa, that different fighting style, to Kamaru Usman. Now, one thing that people don't realize is going into this fight against Kamaru Usman, Khamzat was quite ill. But he decided to still take the fight and go in and do his thing against Kamaru Usman. In this podcast right here, you're going to hear Khamzat's account of what exactly was going on before the Kamaru Usman fight and why he decided to still go on and fight and not pull out.
И болеющий, там никому не секрет, я часто заболевал. У меня, если взять все вместе взятых, у меня 5-6 операций, по-моему, было. И 7-8 переломов у меня. Да. Собрался. Мне много раз говорили доктора, больше не будешь. Ну, пока что доказываю, что буду. И перед боем с Усманом тоже никому не говорил. Я не такой там человек, который люблю там говорить такие вещи. У меня это была проблема, то была проблема, может быть, у моего соперника тоже какие-то. И чуть было такое, температура, все такое, мы даже задумывались там не выходить, но все равно у меня большой простой был, год не дрался, там все такое. И я так задумался, зайду, быстро задушу, но то, что те мысли, которые у меня были, не получилось, но, слава богу, выиграли.
So once again, facing tremendous adversity, now having to fight the former welterweight champion, a fighter that so many people had placed at the top of the pound-for-pound list at one time. Dealing with this illness, Khamzat said, you know what, I'm still going to go for it. I'm still going to fight him. And if you guys are wondering why he came out so aggressive in the first round, is because that's what he thought would be his only path to victory. He thought because of the illness, he would have no chance in the later rounds to win a decision or something like that. So he just went out and put everything on Kamaru Usman in round one. Now, as you can see from those images, Khamzat Chimaev had an extremely dominant first round, and all three judges scored it 10-8. Kamaru Usman went on to win rounds 2 and 3 on 2 of the judges' scorecards, but one judge, a different judge in each round, gave Khamzat Chimaev round 2 and round 3. As such, Khamzat won 29-27, 29-27, and 28-28. And true to his word, like he said in the interview, he came out in that first round guns blazing. He did his absolute best to try and finish Kamaru Usman, but he just wasn't able to do it. Kamaru Usman is just a pure legend and a pure beast, and he withstood the damage, and he came back to have a really great performance in rounds 2 and 3. But alas, Khamzat Chimaev ekes out the victory, ekes out the decision, and the legend continues to grow, and he moves forward with an undefeated record. Now Khamzat is somewhat established in the middleweight division, but people are continuing to criticize him because he didn't fight a middleweight still. He fought Kamaru Usman, who's a welterweight, who moved up short notice to take the fight. They wanted to see him fight against Paulo Costa, but again, Paulo Costa pulled out of that fight. Now we finally get a real middleweight challenge. Everybody is counting Khamzat Chimaev out. And unfortunately for all the Khamzat fans, we don't get to see the fight. Khamzat has to pull out due to another illness, another bout with sickness. So again, the challenges arise. Khamzat is unable to fight. And instead, Whittaker is faced up against Ikram Aliskerov.
A little news here. Unfortunately, Khamzat Chimaev is out of the fight next weekend in Saudi Arabia violently, and I mean violently ill. So he's going back home, and hopefully he gets well soon. The replacement, Ikram Aliskerov. Who is Ikram Aliskerov? This guy is 15-1. His only loss in his 16-fight pro career is the Khamzat Chimaev. So this dude is a legit contender in only his 3rd UFC fight. If he gets a knockout against Robert Whittaker, he'll go into a tie for the longest active UFC knockout streak. He's got 7 first-round finishes, 6 wins by knockout, 5 by submission. This guy has finished 11 to 15 wins, 73% finish rate. He's on a 7-fight win streak. We offered everybody in the division this fight. Nobody would take it except for Robert Whittaker.
In this clip, Khamzat explains how he got sick once again for that first bout against Robert Whittaker.
But do you even know like what happened? Like, I know you've said that like you were working hard and you know other guys were eating the exact same food as you, but you were the only one that got sick. Like, why? Why are you getting sick? Did you ever actually get diagnosed with anything?
I don't remember what doctor said. He said you can't train anymore. You some what I say, some infection. I don't remember. Well, because my immunity went down, like all sickness you take in the body, you know. So whatever passed close to you, you take it, you know. So he said, just rest, go home, don't do anything. 1 month, be recovering and doing. Just take some supplements and stuff. I listened to him and it works.
Now, in this interview, Khamzat reveals that not only did he take time off, but he also had to undergo thyroid surgery where he had half of his thyroid removed. Check this out.
Заболеваю, не как все другие, просто я тренируюсь сильно. И я постоянно в зале пашу. И когда ты всегда тренируешься, у тебя хочешь, не хочешь, иммунитет же падает. Поэтому всегда какие-то фанаты подходят, они не думают, что он, есть какая-то инфекция, больной, не больной, видит тебя, обнимает тобой, руки пожаты бывает. И когда у тебя иммунитет упавший, конечно, эта инфекция переходит на тебя, да.
Половина из-за...
Да, щитовидки половина убрали мне. Да.
Это же сильное влияние. Я думаю, ты сам знаешь, что это...
Да, я слышал, влияет, но, по крайней мере, сейчас, как я иду, ничего не мешает.
Именно вот из-за... Я знаю, что ты часто температуришь. Вот этот момент у тебя часто происходит, что ты можешь легко затемпературить. Но просто, чтобы было понятно, наверное, тем, кто не в курсе, это же 50% твоего иммунитета уходит, если половины щитовидки нет. Я думаю, это...
Я не знаю. Доктор сказал, вроде нормально все.
Ну, уже нормально.
So after that first pullout, the fight was finally rescheduled. It was about to go down, I believe, the weekend of Halloween of 2024. I was so excited. But because of that pullout, I think maybe because of the other controversy around Khamzat Chimaev in terms of him getting sick and having issues and all this, people were not confident that he would do well against Robert Whittaker. One of the sources that I always look at to make fight predictions or to get ideas about who's going to be victorious is what other professionals have to say. And the overwhelming majority were picking Robert Whittaker against Khamzat Chimaev. Check this out.
Will Robert Whittaker upset Khamzat Chimaev? See who fighters are picking in the latest edition of MMA Pros Pick.
It's going to be, I hope so this fight's going to happen because with Chimaev, you never know. He is always very good, but he always not go to the fights. So we will see. But I'm gonna keep my fingers for Whittaker. But it's gonna be a tough fight for him.
Well, do you think he wins though?
Yeah, I hope so. And he got everything to win this fight. But also Chimaev is also very tough and good fighter. So it's gonna be very tough for him. But I believe that he can stop Whittaker.
Yeah, I kind of have to revisit that. It's funny because like Chimaev, you haven't thought of in a while. But I hate, I don't like betting against Bobby Nux, so I'm gonna have to go with Rob.
I think if he can't get him out of there in the first two, he's in deep trouble. Whittaker is a stud. He's an OG now, and that dude, until I see him deteriorate and his game start to drop, I think he's one of the best in the world. He's actually one of my favorite fighters to watch, and I think that he's got the mentality to be able to break Chimaev. I don't think that I don't think that he can submit Whittaker.
I think Whittaker. I think Whittaker. I would say 60-40. Whittaker wins that fight.
Bro, I think people sleeping on Whittaker, man. Whittaker is that guy that's always there. It's like he's always there, and he's good, man. He's really good. So I obviously comes out coming in with a lot of heat and tension. So I'm gonna go with Whittaker. I'm gonna go with Whittaker.
So as you can see in that video, people were overwhelmingly picking Whittaker, the professionals, the people who know the sport the best. And I think it was casting a lot of doubt on Khamzat Chimaev. But somehow the odds were still in favor of Khamzat Chimaev. He was a minus 195 going into that fight. Prior to this fight going down, there was footage that was released of Khamzat training. And what he had done to prepare for this fight is he got out of the UAE, got out of the heat, and instead went to Mount Elbrus in Russia. It had this high altitude. The coaches were talking about how it was going to help improve his cardio and really maximize his training. You can see some of the training footage here. He was taking it extremely seriously, as of course Robert Whittaker is very, very tough competition.
When you finally let someone in and give you some help. It's funny how you finally feel like yourself when you finally let someone in and give you some help. Hey, yeah, gotta get what you want, gotta get what you need. Better take all you get, my love, 'cause you know it don't come for free. Every little thing you want, every little thing you need. Keep it all for yourself, my love, 'cause it really don't matter to me. I know you're wrong, I feel the pain. You think I'm just some simple guy. I know the truth, I see your heart.
You saw the odds, you saw the fighter predictions, you saw what many, many people were expecting was a victory from Robert Whittaker, especially because it was 5 rounds. And then this happened. What you saw there was absolute domination, and Robert Whittaker is such a legend. He's had so many battles with so many people. Nobody ever did that to Robert Whittaker. Now, it later came out that the reason why he tapped so quickly is because he had a pre-existing condition with the teeth, his lower teeth. It wasn't his jaw that broke or gave way. It was his teeth got pushed in, and that's why he tapped so quickly. So a lot of the Chimaev haters have said, well, that's why he won. It wasn't that great of a victory. But what's important to note, if you're truly going to be honest and objective, you have to recognize the scrambles and the grappling that preceded the submission. Nobody's ever done that to Robert Whittaker. He tried multiple times to get away, and he could not get away until Chimaev finally locked in that face crank. If you watch the footage of Chimaev training ahead of time for that fight, he was actually practicing the face crank. Now, would he have submitted so quickly had he not had the teeth injury? Probably. But would he still have gotten the submission? We don't know. But I think suffice to say that he once again showed his superior ability to dominate in the grappling department and try and lock in some sort of submission. And this quick and decisive victory blew the minds of MMA fans once again, and the legend of Chimaev grew. This was the first real matchup in the middleweight division, and after he got this decisive victory, everybody was back on the Khamzat Chimaev train. The detractors had been silenced, at least temporarily. They always come back, right? But people had been silenced for some time, and everybody was in awe of this incredible victory, this decisive finish against somebody who was so tough, a former champ in Robert Whittaker.
Amazing win by Chimaev. He just did that to Whittaker. No doubt about it, ridiculously great win legacy-wise for Chimaev. He is now probably going to be the favorite going into any title fight he has. I think he destroys Strickland. And DDP's tough for him, but I think he'll probably beat DDP as well. DDP's crazy strong. Going to be a lot harder to hold down than the others. Does he have the scrambles of Whittaker to escape those back takes?
This was MMA Guru's take back in the day. Now, he has since changed his tune. He's now picking DDP to win this fight. But this is what happens in MMA with recency bias. Then we went on and we see DDP face Strickland, get that victory. Granted, it was a 5-round decision. It was a war. But Drickus won very dominantly, very decisively against Strickland. But then we see that recency bias. So then people kind of forget what Chimaev did to Whittaker. Now he's picking DDP like a lot of other folks. But there's more to this. There's more people that weighed in and gave feedback after Khamzat's amazing performance against Robert Whittaker. Now, what's in store for Khamzat as we finally approach this title fight against DDP at UFC 319? He has said from the get-go that his goal is 3 belts. Now that he's out of the welterweight division, is that still possible? Is that still something that he can do? I don't think he's going to go back down to welterweight. So he's got to get the middleweight title first, but is it in the cards to then move up to light heavyweight and then maybe heavyweight to get those 3 belts? I don't know, but we know he's got big dreams. We know he's got big goals. He's got big ambitions. He's finally going to get this first title shot. Let's see if he gets it done in this battle against Drickus du Plessis, DDP. His toughest challenge, no doubt. He is the toughest challenge in the middleweight division, so he's got to cross that hurdle first. But just to show you guys the devotion, the dedication, what Khamzat wants and what he's aiming for, we're going to show this clip. Check this out.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm better than everyone. The guys think only about 1 belt. I think about 3 belts. I want to be the best in my game. I want to be like nobody been before.
It seems very possible that he could have easily nabbed that welterweight belt if he hadn't had to have moved up to middleweight and had those weight issues. He beat Kamaru Usman, who was the champ for a long time. I think it's safe to say that I think he would have beaten Leon Edwards. People might disagree, but I think that matchup and the styles, we say styles make fights. I think Khamzat would have definitely had that advantage. Unfortunately, he's had to move up to middleweight, and I don't think he's going to go back down to welterweight. Will he still achieve this goal? I don't know, but I love that he has this ambition because it's just driving him super hard to be the absolute best he can be. At the beginning of 2025, the Weasle, somebody that we've come to trust so much in MMA and in the UFC in particular, he made his predictions for who he believes are going to be champs by the end of 2025. Check out the Weasle's prediction in his own words.
And then there's a lot more contenders here that can be the champion by the end of 2025. Right now, Dricus du Plessis is creating a huge legacy for himself, beating some of the greatest middleweights of all time, Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, and he has a chance to beat Sean Strickland for the second time. He will be the only middleweight in history to have 4 wins against champions, and he would have done that in a row, starting with Whittaker all the way to the Strickland rematch. Truly one of the greatest middleweights of all time, but I think Khamzat ends the year as champion. He's not only favored to do so, but his wrestling is just too strong. His takedowns are too fast. He comes from a more disciplined training camp now. And the only guy I think that would stop him from becoming champion is Dricus. So that's why I'm not having Khamzat that much higher than the rest. But the reason why I have him slightly ahead of Dricus and Strickland are for 2 reasons. Number 1, his wrestling is just so strong. And number 2, he will be the last fighter to fight for the middleweight title in 2025, most likely. So Dricus and Strickland are fighting in February. And usually the middleweight title gets defended or fought for twice in a year. Khamzat has the privilege to fight that second time that year.
So there you have it. This is the Weasel's prediction. We're about to find out in just a few weeks if that's actually going to come to fruition. James Lynch, a very well-known journalist in the space of mixed martial arts, also weighed in earlier this year. This is what he had to say about Khamzat.
But then he's going to run into some problems when he fights Khamzat Chimaev, and I think Chimaev ends up defeating him. I just think that it's going to be hard for anyone to get into the first round with Chimaev, and I know du Plessis is not an easy guy to take out, but I think Chimaev right now, he hasn't lost. If he can stay healthy and active, I think he's going to end up being champion. I'm banking on that a little bit too. I'm banking on that Chimaev will be more active this year, and I think eventually he'll get the title. Well, not eventually. I think he does fight the winner of du Plessis and Strickland, and then I think even if it's Strickland who wins, I still think Chimaev wins. I think Chimaev is just one of those freak athletes, freak talents that can go out there and get it done. So I think Chimaev ends up becoming the middleweight champion.
Last but not least, we have MMA Joey weighing in terms of this fight and this matchup. Check out what he has to say.
I think Khamzat is I think he's special. In retrospect, I think he could have been 3-division champion. He would smoke Leon Edwards. It wouldn't even be competitive. He would smoke Leon. He would have beat Kamaru Usman when he was champion in the welterweight division. He has a really good chance to beat DDP. I think he does beat DDP. I don't think DDP, the physicality, okay, the strength, okay. I don't think he has the jiu-jitsu skill to keep up with Khamzat. The way Khamzat was floating on top of Robert Whittaker as he's trying to scramble was unbelievable. It was almost like he was suspended from the rafters. I don't think DDP has the ability. I mean, he's getting ragged out by Brunson in the first round, and I don't think Khamzat's going to gas. You got to pray. If you're DDP, you got to pray that Khamzat gasses out and you're able to finish him. DDP finds a way to win. I don't think he's going to find a way to win against Khamzat Chimaev. I would pick Chimaev right now, first round finish. And I know I said I would never pick against DDP again, but I got to pick Khamzat in that fight. That's the fight to make. That's the fight they should make. And if they don't make it, it's an absolute travesty. But I'm just laughing, man. All the Khamzat Chimaev haters, where are they at now? They all crawled into a hole. I didn't get any comments. I was losing subscribers on my video where I said it was going to be an easy win for Khamzat. I said he's going to buzzsaw through him. I said he's going to go out there and ragdoll him. He's going to fuck him up bad. And people were saying, Joey, you're crazy. This is the worst take I've ever heard. He struggled with Kamaru Usman, a pound for pound, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Pound for pound, number 1 for the longest time. Oh, he struggled with him on short notice. He went from Paulo Costa to Kamaru Usman on a couple days' notice. That's still difficult for him, even though he had a full training camp. So I knew this was going to happen. I'll pat myself on the back over and over and over again, even though some of you guys don't like it. Khamzat Chimaev, 14-0, and an absolute freak. And I think his striking is underrated as well. He gets it done. First round, face crank, 3 minutes and 34 seconds into the first round. Robert Whittaker had 2 full training camps and only lasted 3 minutes and 34 seconds. A lot of people thought Khamzat's Ikram. No. Ikram doesn't have anywhere close to the ability of Khamzat, and he stepped in on short notice on a double weight cut to fight Robert Whittaker. Of course, Robert Whittaker's going to chin him. Khamzat's not that guy, okay? Khamzat is just next level. His striking is really good. His grappling is next level. I think he has the best grappling in all the UFC.
But once again, we have the pros weighing in, just like they weighed in with Khamzat Chimaev against Robert Whittaker. Everybody picked Robert Whittaker, and it looks like we're seeing the same trend once again. Despite the odds being the way they are, we're seeing people go for DDP over Khamzat.
Will Khamzat Chimaev keep his undefeated streak alive, or will Dricus du Plessis take him out? See who fighters are picking in the latest edition of MMA Pros Pick.
Oh, man. I think it's a tough one for Khamzat Chimaev. Du Plessis, his awkwardness makes him very difficult to deal with. He's got great grappling. He's a very strong opponent. If he can weather the storm in a five and a round fight, I'm leaning towards du Plessis.
Ooh. I'm going to go with du Plessis.
As Khamzat Chimaev prepares for his title fight against DDP Dricus du Plessis, there is one little additional wrinkle in the story, and that is something that has haunted Khamzat ever since he had those bouts with COVID-19, that Gilbert Burns fight, the Kamaru Usman fight. There's been this narrative that has swept across YouTube and MMA fans in general that Khamzat has cardio issues. Now, I have still not fully subscribed to this narrative. I think when people talk about the so-called Khamzat looking tired in round 3 against Gilbert Burns, that's because he was emptying the tank, and Gilbert looked tired as well. But again, Khamzat always seems to get a bit more additional criticism. That's my perspective. Same thing with Kamaru Usman. Now, he still won that fight, and yes, he was slowing down, but there's some other issues there as well. Number one, it was a 3-round fight. People say, well, if it was 5 rounds, he would have lost to Kamaru Usman. But that's not how the game is played. You budget your energy according to how many rounds you have to fight. So he knew he was fighting 3 rounds. On top of that, he was ill during that fight. So I think those 2 fights is what built this narrative that Khamzat has supposed cardio issues. I don't know if I agree with that or have ever agreed with that. I think maybe he does look tired at times, but he puts it all out there in round 1. He goes out there. That's his fight style versus an actual issue with cardio. But just to reemphasize this almost mythical notion that Khamzat has major cardio issues, I wanted to showcase this quick clip from Michael Bisping talking about the matchup and talking about just this in particular. Check this out.
All right, so Dana White recently announced one of the most highly anticipated title fights in middleweight history. I am, of course, talking about Khamzat Chimaev, Mr. Squeeze Your Head Up in the very first round, Mr. Knock You Out, Mr. Undefeated, Borz the Wolf, whatever you want to call him, is getting his title fight against Dricus du Plessis, the middleweight champion of the world.
Dricus du Plessis will defend his belt against Khamzat Chimaev.
And I'm telling you, this one is going to be fantastic. But the crazy thing is, this is wild. Khamzat Chimaev is the favorite. Khamzat Chimaev is a -170 favorite, and the champion, the defending champion, Dricus du Plessis, is a +145 underdog. Now, Khamzat Chimaev is a force of nature, and he only knows how to fight one speed, and that's why people really enjoy watching this guy fight. He goes forward. He's a straight-up killer. He's looking to take you down, do damage, knock you out, squeeze your head off. Whatever it is, he's trying to do damage right from the opening bell. And that's what he's done to almost everybody. 14 wins, 12 stoppages. Only time he's gone to a decision is twice against Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. And we know what happened there. He got a little bit tired. And against Kamaru Usman, well, he was kind of lucky to get that decision. I'm not talking shit about Khamzat Chimaev. I think he's phenomenal. But I think he's got some problems here going 5 rounds.
Now, I know I said previously that, hey, I'm still not even convinced that he has cardio issues. Well, one thing going in favor of maybe Khamzat himself and his team recognizing that the cardio can be improved is his decision to go work with strength and conditioning coach Sam Calavitta. This guy is the man. He's based out of Southern California, and he was recommended by TJ Dillashaw in particular. TJ says he's the man. He can improve people's cardio. He has this crazy training regimen run out of his home, out of his garage. So Khamzat decided to come and train at Jackson and train with Sam Calavitta to work on his cardio, to work on his endurance. So if we are to say that perhaps the one thing that might hold Khamzat back in this fight, the major issue could be cardio, that may have been resolved. This is at least according to the Jackson team and what they have to say in this interview. So it makes this fight even that much more interesting. Check it out.
Yes. Wait, no, that's Sam. That's Sam. I trained with him before.
When you were fighting?
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, the guy's training is so hard. I love Sam, But I don't never want to see his garage again.
It was that hard?
It's that hard, bro.
Khamzat and Armin are training in a garage and a park right now.
Bro, it's some of the hardest training I ever done in my life.
Yeah, first thing I said to the boys when we were watching Khamzat train, I'm like, how's it, because especially when I do breakdown fights, I'm like, how's his cardio? Like, buddy, not an issue at all. Because I was like, my biggest thing for him going to the DDP fight, DDP's a big dude, durable. So that how's Khamzat going to be in the 4th and 5th round? They're like, trust me, not an issue. Like, shit.
We see everybody on the internet talking about if DDP doesn't get finished in the first round, it's going to be hard for Khamzat. And they said that if Khamzat can obviously win, he's going to win in the first round. Me personally, I think Khamzat could kill him in any round. I think Khamzat's the most explosive fighter in the UFC.
That one purported Achilles heel, the one issue that a lot of people is leading a lot of people to pick DDP over Khamzat, saying, yes, in the later rounds, it's going to be DDP. He's too tough. He's too durable, and he's going to get the finish. Now that's called into question. I know other folks have said, look, you can't fix these types of issues that Khamzat has with one guy, with one strength and conditioning coach. Well, we shall see. So for now, this is where we're at. We are about to see something that Khamzat fans have been anticipating for almost 5 years. He finally is about to get his title shot, something that we think he could have gotten back in 2020, maybe even 2021. We've had to wait this time, and now we finally have it. But man, he's going against probably the toughest guy he could ever face in Dricus du Plessis. The thing about Khamzat that I think is super special is he's a grappler, but he's one of the most exciting fighters we've ever seen. Usually people don't say grappler and exciting in the same sentence, but he is flipping that on its head. On top of that, I think he's got a great personality he's already a star. He's already got over 10 million followers on Instagram. He's killing it. People love him worldwide. But he's a different type of star. I think for so long, people have been looking for a Conor McGregor clone. Who's going to be the next Conor McGregor? But maybe the next Conor McGregor is going to be nothing like Conor McGregor. That's what I think. That's what I think Khamzat has at his feet. I think that's what he can grab if he can get this done. So for all the Khamzat fans, at the end of this documentary, I want to say, we are here. This is it. This is the time. Will he be successful? Will he pull it off? We shall find out. If he falls, if he fails, he's definitely going to have more chances, but I do believe he can get it done. I believe he can show his amazing ability, his athletic superiority, his fight IQ. I believe he can get it done, and I cannot wait to see this fight. I will be there at UFC 319. If you're there as well, see you there. Let's see. There's never been a fight I've been more excited for. That's why I wanted to make this entire documentary, to show you guys the story of Khamzat Chimaev. If you're not a fan, maybe this will change you. If you're a Chimaev hater, at least you get a little bit more perspective and insight onto the story and the journey of Khamzat Chimaev. But that is it. That is the conclusion. This is the end, but it's just the beginning of the Khamzat Chimaev story. Let's go. I will see you guys at UFC 319. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.